Let's talk about Matt Rhule. He was on Good Morning Football. It was great to see him again. He's been living his life ever since he was fired from the Carolina Panthers after week 5, week 4.
Was it early?
3? 4?
Was it 4?
I think it was after week 4.
It might have been.
Early. Fired. See you later.
Yep.
Steve Wilkes is going to take over now, interim head coach. They're going to get rid of Christian McCaffrey. They're going to get rid of Robbie Anderson because he's not happy with what's going on. They're still going to hang on to incredible players, though, and tell their fans that they're not tanking, although they are certainly looking at a brand-new future. Matt Rhule, we have not seen or heard from him. He makes an appearance on Good Morning Football wearing a sport coat, looking incredibly professional, and we appreciate the people at Good Morning Football for getting him on here because listening to him chat about what happened at Carolina was pretty enlightening, and I got to cover Matt Rhule whenever he was coaching Baylor against Texas Tech in the Texas Shootout, I believe. Cliff Kingsbury's last game coaching for Texas Tech before he would go on to become the Arizona Cardinals head coach. And then obviously Matt Rhule would leave Baylor after having an incredible amount of success and go become the Carolina Panthers head coach. So getting a chat with Matt Rhule, his players, and then hear his story a little bit. I always thought he was a cool guy. Thought he'd work in the NFL. Started in the NFL at the Giants way back whenever he was running papers and everything like that. Here is why he thinks it didn't work at Carolina. Let me know what your thoughts are on him potentially being a coach at either your college or your NFL team after listening to this answer.
I think when I look back at my time in Carolina,
Different
I look
voice
back
than
on it
expected.
fondly. I'll say that first.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think I'll always take away from it that no matter what level you coach, when I've coached at FCS, I've coached at Division III, I've coached at Group of 5, Power 5, and in the NFL, it always comes down to relationships. And if I could go back, I wish I would have done a better job in year 1 and year 2 of having really strong relationships with the players. And I can blame COVID and masks and all those things, but last year, at the end of last year, I got together with Shaq Thompson. I got together with Christian McCaffrey. And you know what? I went back to just being, Coach Matt. The guy that was coaching at Temple, the guy that was running around in a T-shirt and shorts and having fun with it. And it didn't end the way I wanted it to. But I'm proud I never lost the locker room. I'm proud that those guys fought and stood up for me to the very end. And so I hope I get another chance to coach. I hope that I'll try to do some things better football-wise. But at the end of the day, relationships and players knowing, man, that you'll do whatever you can for them. That's the most important thing. That's who I've always been. It was great to get back to that. Just probably a little too late.
Because I'm an American man making American parts for American people.
Damn right.
Is that what you're getting out of that? Darius and AQ were having a little bit of a side conversation as this video. Matt Rhule, Penn State man, by the way. So excited to hear how AQ can shit on one of his own like he did with Joe DiNardo, obviously. Darius, you hear that? What are your thoughts on it? Do you think he said, I don't want to blame COVID, where we weren't allowed to sit around each other or get to know anybody, and I couldn't even see their faces, see if they were smiling or anything like that. But there is something to people getting a job and thinking they got to act in a certain way.
For sure.
I wonder if there was a little bit of that whenever he got paid $70 million guaranteed to go coach in the NFL out of Baylor.
Hey, first of all, Matt Rhule's living a good life right now. But, it was good. I felt like he was kind of honest, a little self-reflection. But relationships are important. And it's hard to kind of build those relationships, too, because it is a cutthroat business. And you could be in the building, out of the building the next day. So that was interesting to hear that. But
Go ahead, AQ. Your thoughts on Matt Rhule. What is your... what is your...
Yeah, what's going on
I just would like everybody to know, it wasn't shown on camera. As he was speaking now, AQ is very close to him. I mean, he's like a foot and a half away from the thing. He's been saying, AQ couldn't keep it together.
All right.
AQ was like laughing like a little kid in a classroom that was sitting in the back of the room. Didn't think anybody could say, what are you laughing about?
Well, I'll say this, and this is props to you first, right? Like props of the fact that you never have changed really who you are whenever this thing has grown.
Appreciate that.
I don't understand why people think they need to, right? Like, okay, so it took them 2 years, 2.5 years to figure out, like, I just need to go back to being Coach Matt from Temple.
Coach Matt sounds
Coach
awesome.
Matt from Temple. Coach Matt from Temple got you to Coach Matt at Baylor and make a shit ton of money and have a lot of success, which got you to $70 million.
With Coach Rhule.
Now you become, Coach Rhule. Now all of a sudden, we got to change everything we did.
I don't understand that either.
I don't either. I don't get it. Like,
why does it happen? You think it's an
happens all the
inferiority
time.
complex, or you think that's what it is? Do you think they lack of confidence? Do you think they feel like they have to portray an image? Because it's kind of what's happening with Russell Wilson right now, right? Like Russell Wilson's acting like a movie character of what an NFL quarterback's supposed to be, and it's kind of getting pointed out now. Oh, this guy's fugazi, this guy's fraudulent. It's almost like people do that when they get a role. They feel like they have to act how they're supposed to act in that position. But you would hope that somebody would be mentally tough enough not to give in, especially if they're going to be an NFL head coach. But it happens all the fucking time.
All the time. And I've played for coaches that have done that, have completely switched, completely changed. Yeah. It's like, well, that guy, you're going to love that guy. Well, then I get in the room with that guy, and it's almost like that guy sat in the back of the room for 4 years as a coordinator and assistant or whatever it is, right? And it's like, oh, I don't like that. We're not doing that when I'm head coach. We're not doing that. And so when you lose 45-7 and you get up there and you're like, we lost that game because you didn't wear closed-toed shoes. That's the reason, right?
Oh.
And so,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and so there's all these things that happen. I think you sit in the back of the room and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that. It's getting too loose in here. I got to rein it back in. And then you do that and you lose the group.
Yeah,
when you get in that locker room, like it's more important that you are yourself, that you're authentic. When you're coming into you're dealing with a bunch of pros, you're dealing with a bunch of grown-ass men. So for you to have that respect week in and week out, and shit's going to go bad, shit's going to go good. It's hard as fuck to win on any level, but especially in the NFL. So being yourself, being your authentic self, because you can't start one way and things are going well and you turn into a different coach, or things are getting bad and now you turn into a hard ass. Like, it doesn't work like that. You lose respect immediately. So I don't know why people do it. You got to stay true to yourself as much as you can.
COVID probably didn't help, right?
No
I mean,
way.
COVID probably didn't help, and he's a college guy, so who knows what people are going to think going in there. But they always say, like, the locker. You heard like Rex Ryan. Anybody that's been around the NFL is saying the locker room will know if you're being real or not. Mm-hmm. I honestly believe that the NFL locker room might be the most difficult crowd in the history of crowds, and a head coach has to speak to said crowd every single day and get everybody to buy in. You're talking about people from every walk of life, every single background, all having their own stubbornness, because that's probably what made them in there, and you got to get them all to buy into one message. That's why during Hard Knocks with the Lions, that comedian one in there, as he was walking in, I got uncomfortable. I'm like, oh no, I've seen this before, this is going to go bad. Him crushing on there, I was like, all right, that dude's good. That dude is very good. It's a tough room. And I honestly believe that an NFL locker room has the guys and the leaders in there that can point out a fugazi. And if other people can't point out a fugazi, somebody's going to say, isn't it interesting that and then blah, 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 and then, oh, yeah. And then that starts like rolling into the whole thing. You just got to be your true self, I think, since day one. Or if you're going to be a fugazi, you have to be the fugazi at all times.
Right. It's hard to do.
You're going to get caught. At some moment, you're going to get caught. You're going to be tired. You're going to be angry. You're going to have something go on, and you're going to be caught not being the person that you've been trying to portray forever. So if you're always yourself, it's a lot easier. I appreciate the compliment, and people ask me why. I don't think I'm smart enough to. Like, I don't think I'm smart enough to change. And also, if you change, at some point, I'm going to resort back to this, and then everybody's going to be like, what is that? That's like, you're almost setting yourself up for future failure when you're not your authentic self. But for some reason, when people get put in positions of power, they feel like they got to change. It happens in all walks of life. Not every coach is like this. It sounds like we're burying all coaches.
No, you do have to change to some extent.
I agree. Evolve.
Yeah, exactly. Evolve. That's the better. But you're still authentically yourself. So when you go from being, a rookie to now you become a captain of a team, there are things that you have to do differently, but still, be yourself. Like, that shouldn't be that hard to do. And then I hate when you hear coach, I went connected with Christian McCaffrey and Shaq. Like,
it's a star of your team.
Yeah,
should have done that 3 years ago.
What are we doing here?
That's interesting, man. It honestly is. And it must have been the price tag on his head that made him think and act a different way. Might think he had to be something different, but it certainly did not work out.
Well, didn't you say from the get-go, too, like that you hope he was going to have success, and you saw a path where, like, he definitely could, but, like, he's a hard ass. He's kind of just all about
football.
Ball. Exactly. Ball. And, like, when you get into the NFL, I mean, obviously it wasn't to the magnitude where it's like Saban, where he was acting, when he got to the Dolphins, he was acting like everyone was 18 and he had his, thumb down on everyone. Like, so it wasn't really like that, but like, you can't do that when you get into the NFL. And granted, he's making a shitload of money, but guys are adults. They're just not going to put up with that bullshit. They don't care how much success you had at Baylor or wherever. Like, it just
got guys coming out of Bama.
Yeah.
Where'd you go? Baylor. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
We won by 60.
Yeah, right.
You guys, I think. But another fascinating case study of college coaches in the NFL that never gets brought up. Petrino was the coach of the Falcons.
Yep.
There was almost an actual, from what I've been told, I'm not going to say any names that told me, there was almost a of Petrino by somebody that nobody would expect on the Atlanta Falcons team, because somebody had to answer a phone call from their wife on like a bus or something like that. And Petrino's like, nobody can talk. Nobody's allowed to speak on the bus rides. Nobody was allowed to speak at dinner. Like, it was like a full college thing. Night before a meal, nobody's allowed to speak at these things. Somebody had to answer a call from their wife. and like all hell broke loose, and he almost got his ass beat. From what I've been told, he almost got his ass beat by. And then I think he left
He
in the
quit.
middle of the night.
Yeah, he
in
did.
the middle of the night or something like. Yeah. So I heard.
Saban fucking left us too.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That was
it's-
also a similar situation per sources as well. But with Matt Rhule, like just looking at his whole career in the Panthers, he had Teddy Bridgewater during COVID, then he had Sam Darnold, and then he had Baker Mayfield. Like it's not as if Joe Brady left halfway through, the guy he hired to be his OC.
Yeah,
like,
got fired.
Got fired.
Yeah,
Excuse
got
me.
fired. Yeah.
But it just seemed like he didn't really have a chance from the beginning, and not to mention when he took the Panthers head coaching job, Tom Brady wasn't playing for the Buccaneers, so it was kind of a situation where he got absolutely fucked
Bamboozled,
from
you're
the
saying.
get-go. Yeah.
I think he's going to go back to college. He's going to go to a big college program.
Go back to Coach Matt.
Everybody's thinking he's going to Nebraska.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
West Virginia makes a lot of sense too.
Give me Dion at West Virginia, please. Yesterday,